So let's answer a few questions that I get in my emails, on my socials. What's the difference between an expert versus a thought leader, especially in the new age and new era of AI? Let's first define the difference between what an expert is versus a thought leader. An expert is somebody who has expertise and experience in what they know. Expertise is the actual how you do it, and experience is usually the stories that got you here. And when you're able to do both of those, you'll do a pretty good job of communicating how you solve people's problems, how your expertise and experiences can help them improve their lives or prevent them from stepping into potholes in their life and business. And usually your expertise and being seen as an expert is what you get paid for. That means that it's part of the thing that supports the business model that you're running. It's also more focused on tactics versus strategies in general. And it's focused on what I call the how and the now, which is temporary and won't last. Now, I want you to understand this because this is really important. Being an expert and sharing tactics and teaching people how to do things is very important. It is what most people are going to respond to. So when I say it's how you make money in the now, but it's temporary, what I really mean is that as an expert, you're always going to be sharing what works, how to do it. The problem with that, if you aspire to be a thought leader, which I'm going to define in a moment, is that a lot of times, especially if you're a visionary person, that's where you become burnt out and bored of what you're up to. And it causes a bunch of other different problems when you're building your business model. And that's why, as an expert, I want you to be thinking about going to the next level, which is becoming a thought leader. Now, what is the difference? A thought leader is someone that teaches people how to think differently. The key word is think. I know that you've probably heard in certain circles not to trust our brains, or like it's all about our soul and our heart. And I would argue that all three are important. Your gut, your heart, and your brain basically should work together to share your, what I call modern day philosophies of how to live, work, and play. And when you think about ancient philosophers and all of the things that we've learned, like if you think about Ryan Holiday, who is one of my favorite authors, he wrote The Obstacle is the Way and a bunch of other books. In fact, one of my top 10 books is Perennial Seller that he wrote, which is not one of his more popular books, but it is one of the best books that he's written in being able to build a brand that no one can ignore. He bases a lot of his work on Marcus Aurelius, who was known for Stoicism, and he was an emperor in Rome back in the day. And I bring that up because thought leaders help distill time-tested principles and ideas into modern application. And that's what Ryan Holiday is doing. And that's why he's elevated from just being an expert to a thought leader. And when you choose to go from expert to thought leader, now what you're doing is you are influencing the status quo. You are changing certain ideas about something you care about and are linked to your expertise and sharing it in a way that makes people think differently. And if you don't think thinking differently matters, go ask Steve Jobs, because that is still the motto of Apple, which is one of the top desired and most beloved brands in the world. His whole thing was you have to think differently. And so that's what a thought leader does. And that's why we're still talking about Steve Jobs, even though he already died over a decade ago. Thought leaders become people that now have not just the business model, but they have brand authority and a reputation and a legacy, usually put in a book or a series of books that shares these wisdom nuggets, time-tested principles, and philosophies that can be used regardless of what's going on in the world. And therefore, when you choose to be a thought leader rather than just an expert, you become a future-proof personal brand, and you become AI durable, AI agnostic. In fact, AI will be referencing your work in the future long after you're gone if you choose to think like a thought leader and choose to become one, past and beyond being your everyday expert. As I mentioned, being an everyday expert is really important because that's what you get paid for. But becoming a thought leader, that's usually the pinnacle, the thing that we actually deeply desire at an emotional level. We want people to know that we felt deeply about things, that we had a lot to share, and we want to make sure that our wisdom is captured in a place that canonizes that body of work that has been time tested and battle tested on the field by actually doing the work. Now, one last thing, since we defined expert or thought leader, because what I hope you're seeing is like, you want to become a thought leader now, right? That's what I really hope for you. Here's also why it's really, really important. In the current online space and social media space, a lot of people have been saying that a way to multiply your impact is to do one-to-many type of courses, memberships, and these are business model vehicles that a lot of experts pursue in order to grow their business, which is very good, and also to extend their brand reach. And I want you to know that with the advent of AI, the way that people will consume education through courses will look very different. They're not going to come in the same packaging that they did. They're going to come delivered through AI agents, more text messaging, and even in YouTube videos where people will start to share their thought leadership in that way, and people will demand that they're not as expensive or higher ticket. In order for you to even garner more higher ticket opportunity, people need to see that your thoughts, your human philosophies, your human frameworks are not something AI can completely replicate, that they need a human steward, they need a human communicator to help them comprehend how to improve their lives through the expertise that you're demonstrating and the thought leadership that you're sharing. So if this sounds juicy and you're starting to think, oh my gosh, I definitely need to be elevated to thought leader status, then these are the kinds of conversations that we're having inside of the Thought Leadership Collective. You'll also hear me call it TLC. And we're not just teaching the strategy to publish a book that canonizes your thought leadership. We're building resilient, personalized brands that actually stand the test of time and that your great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren will be able to refer to in the future. We have a big goal, and that's by 2030. We want to help 1,000 women publish best-selling books about their thought leadership and use those books to be an asset to accelerate their influence and affluence, which, if I haven't been able to demonstrate in this video, is more critical now than ever. So if you want to be in the room for our next call, subscribe to our Brandcast newsletter to be notified of our next open house. The link is in the description below.